Throughout this relentless series, we have dissected two fundamental, often conflicting dimensions of the human experience that dictate your reality. The outer self, which you carefully construct and present to the waiting, judging world, seeking acceptance, and the inner self, the one that remains hidden, deliberately concealed, guarded. Beneath the surface you allow others, if anyone, to see. Now, in this culminating, this critical part 3, we arrive at the unavoidable question that defines your journey. Who am I? This question is not merely an abstract philosophical debate to be pondered in isolation, nor a mental exercise for idle contemplation, divorced from reality. It is the practical, the demanding, and the essential challenge of reconciling your inner truth, the raw, unvarnished, authentic reality of who you are inside, stripped of all pretense, with your external performance, the crafted image you project outward, designed for consumption. Identity is neither static, fixed in time like a monument, nor singular, a simple, easy answer you arrive at once. It is a dynamic, ongoing fusion, a powerful, sometimes turbulent synthesis of seemingly opposing forces constantly at play within you. Your private convictions versus your public masks worn for survival. Your raw inner intuition versus the demands of external logic imposed by the world. The courageous power of authenticity versus the necessity of adaptation required to navigate society. This final examination delves into the core of how individuals can, how individuals must, integrate these inner and outer selves into a coherent whole. The goal is not to eliminate the inherent, vital tension between them entirely, that friction is a source of power, but to master how to manage it, how to command this duality. It is to wield this internal relationship in a way that actively fosters genuine, unshakable growth, ignites unwavering purpose in your actions, and forges undeniable coherence, a true sense of self in your very being. The duality at the heart of human identity, the inner and the outer, is not, inherently, a flaw to be corrected or suppressed. In fact, understand this profound truth. It is essential to your very nature, a fundamental operating principle. The inner self serves a critical, non-negotiable purpose in this duality. It is the profound space where your true, unfiltered values reside, defining your personal compass, your deepest, often unexpressed desires, your most primal, sometimes hidden fears that must be confronted, and your highest, often vulnerable, aspirations. It is the designated space for deep, necessary reflection away from external noise, for raw, uncomfortable emotional honesty with yourself, and for the silent, unwavering guidance of your moral compass that directs your path. The outer self, in stark contrast, functions as the necessary interface, the point of deliberate engagement through which you engage with the complex, often demanding, machinery of society and the external world. It possesses the strategic capacity to adapt swiftly to context, shifting its presentation as needed. It communicates intention, often strategically, sometimes deceptively. It provides a semblance of structure to your often chaotic, unpredictable social interactions, bringing order to external engagement. Consider the individual who lives entirely, rigidly, within the public sphere, the one who over-identifies, who fuses entirely, dangerously with their persona, believing the mask is them. They risk becoming permanently performative, living a life that is mere act, emotionally distant, and tragically alienated from their own fundamental needs, silenced by the external performance. Conversely, consider the individual who withdraws completely, who retreats permanently into the depths of endless introspection, lost within their own mind. They may struggle profoundly with genuine connection, unable to bridge the gap to others, with clear communication, their inner language untranslatable externally, or with achieving any form of societal relevance, their truth unseen or unheard. Understand this key vital principle. Integration does not mean blending these two distinct selves into a single, uniform, bland identity that lacks depth. It is a false simplification. Rather, it demands a different mastery, a higher level of command over your own being. It means learning, with precision, with wisdom, and with unwavering courage, when to lead with the unwavering truth of the inner self, letting it guide your fundamental direction, and when to strategically allow the functional outer self to guide necessary action in the external world, acting effectively without sacrificing truth. The necessity of integration, the critical, essential path to integrating your inner and outer selves begins with one fundamental, non-negotiable step. You must cultivate the capacity, the honed skill, to name and differentiate the distinct roles each self relentlessly plays in your life, understanding their motives and impacts. Ask yourself the hard, uncomfortable questions that pierce through the performance. When do you act, deliberately, consciously, out of alignment with your deepest, most held values? When do you do it solely to appease the external gaze, sacrificing internal congruence? When do you suppress your authentic voice, silencing your truth? Is it born of paralyzing fear, of defensive pride, or of debilitating, corrosive self-doubt that whispers lies? Understand this absolute truth. These moments of internal misalignment are not failures to be judged or hidden in shame. They are powerful, unavoidable insights. They signal the undeniable presence of friction within you, a necessary grinding that reveals where the parts don't fit. And friction, internal resistance, this grinding misalignment, is not an endpoint to be avoided. It is the beginning, the necessary catalyst for profound transformative change in your life. True, unyielding integration demands more than mere passive reflection in isolation. It demands raw, exposed courage in the face of fear. It requires you to ask the truly difficult questions and to honestly confront the answers. Are you living, authentically living, in a way that genuinely honors your core convictions, your unshakable truth? Are you performing roles, day after day, that no longer serve the truth of who you are becoming? Are you actively hiding vital, authentic parts of yourself from the world, keeping your truth locked away, solely or primarily because you fear the sting of external rejection if you reveal your truth? The answers to these piercing questions will not appear in a single blinding moment of sudden revelation or enlightenment. They emerge slowly, painstakingly, through the difficult, iterative, often messy process of trial and error, of stepping out and adjusting. Understand, integration is not a static destination achieved in one great leap or sudden understanding. It is a continuous, conscious, lifelong recalibration of your entire being, a constant process of alignment. Practical, deliberate, consistent strategies are the bridge builders. They move the theoretical ideal of integration from abstract thought, from mere concept, into lived, undeniable daily experience that shapes your reality. The first essential strategy for building this bridge: alignment. This means making decisions, consciously, actively, that directly reflect your internal beliefs and values, using them as your compass, even when those decisions are inconvenient for others, even when they demand personal sacrifice or stand against external pressure. A person truly aligned in their actions and beliefs feels something profound and powerful internally, more grounded in their truth, more resilient against external pressure and internal doubt, because their actions relentlessly reinforce a consistent, unshakable sense of authentic identity, making them whole. The second critical strategy: boundary setting. This is not about building walls of exclusion. It is the mastery of knowing precisely what truth to share with the world, and what vital, vulnerable parts of yourself to protect within your inner sanctuary. This is an act of conscious, necessary, ongoing balance between exposure and preservation. Understand this truth. Boundaries are not rigid, impenetrable walls built for total exclusion or secrecy. They are intelligent filters designed to manage vulnerability while fiercely maintaining your core honesty with the world and yourself. You need the outer self in this complex process of interaction. It acts as a buffer, a mediator, translating the often overwhelming complexity and intensity of the inner world into a form the external world can process and understand without being overwhelmed itself. A healthy, well-maintained boundary allows the true self to speak its truth without being overwhelmed by external judgment, without risking devastating, unprotected, uncontrolled exposure that leads to harm. The third powerful principle for successful integration: it thrives, truly thrives, within authentic community. Seek relationships, cultivate connections that value depth and truth, not superficial performance or curated image. These connections are the spaces, the crucial, supportive environments that allow you to practice authenticity, to reveal your true self without paralyzing fear of rejection or judgment. These spaces validate the inner self you dare to reveal to others. They affirm your outer expression when it aligns with your truth. They create vital feedback loops, receiving honest reflection from others that relentlessly reinforce your growth and self-awareness. Integration is not a solitary act performed in isolation from the world. It is supported. It is strengthened by the presence of others who are also seeking their truth. Those rare few who recognize and value the full, complex spectrum of who you are, both inner and outer. There is an undeniable, a profound strength found in one critical act of self-acceptance, accepting your own inherent contradictions. Understand this essential truth. You can embody duality without being fragmented. You can be both fiercely confident in your abilities and authentically uncertain in moments of doubt. Profoundly vulnerable in your openness and relentlessly resilient in the face of adversity. Sharply logical in your approach and deeply emotional in your responses. The goal of integration is not to eliminate these contradictions entirely, forcing yourself into a simple box, not to resolve them into a false, singular state of being, but to learn how to live with them consciously, with awareness and acceptance, to navigate their presence within you and in the world with wisdom and grace. The integrated self is not a static, perfect, unchanging statue of ideal being. It is adaptive, fluid, capable of responding to reality. It knows, with quiet wisdom and inner guidance, precisely when to retreat for necessary reflection and healing, and when to engage forcefully, decisively, with the external world. It knows when to speak its truth, clearly and without apology, and when the power, the true strength, lies in listening, in absorbing, in understanding. It is humble enough to constantly evolve, to learn from mistakes, to shed old skin and outdated beliefs, and strong enough, fundamentally anchored in its core identity, to remain grounded amidst the external storms and internal turbulence. It is not a process of becoming singular, reducing your complex being into one dimension, or reducing yourself to one simple, easily defined state that the world can label. It is to cultivate capacity, to build internal space and strength, to become spacious enough within your own being, to hold both the raw, unfiltered inner dimensions of the self and the necessary, functional outer dimensions you navigate in the world. This means holding them without letting either collapse under pressure, without allowing one to dominate or destroy the other, maintaining a dynamic balance. It is to learn, through practice, to act with unwavering authenticity, letting your truth guide you, and to adapt with uncompromised integrity, staying true to your values even when the world demands otherwise. It is to deliberately let the inner self inform your engagement with the outer world, to ground your actions, your interactions, your decisions in your deepest truth and values, and to allow the outer self to engage the world, to interact, to function effectively, without sacrificing or losing your vital inner truth in the process of that engagement. In the final analysis, it is about accepting a fundamental reality of human existence, that identity is not a static destination you reach like a finish line, but an ongoing, dynamic conversation, a constant, evolving dialogue within your own being. It's a conversation between your core values and your external actions, between your necessary solitude and your engagement with society, between your deepest fears and your highest hopes. And it is within the space of that ongoing conversation, that continuous dialogue between your inner and outer worlds, that the integrated self begins its powerful emergence. Not perfect, for perfection is a static myth. Not singular, but complex and multifaceted, but profoundly whole, a complete and powerful being. If you enjoyed the content and would like to support this channel, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the section below. And I'll see you next time.